It's a Tuesday. It is the 19th day of December 2023. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as the temperatures get cold and the snow falls at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, speaking of Thermopolis, here's a shot not very far away from it in the southern Bighorn Basin. So we can see that just down to patches of snow, a lot of brown and fair skies, and this will be a scene that will be familiar today through Friday across most of the Intermountain West. There'll be a lot of high and mid-level clouds and breezy areas, but we're still in this pattern to where there's just not much going on. It will be a little bit on the windy side in a few areas today, but we're just looking at a mix of high-level cloudiness, moisture coming off the Pacific, but mild temperatures and high pressure. Now, rain, snow for you folks along the West Coast. It's going to be wet, California, western areas of Washington and Oregon, and even down into Arizona here later in the week, as moisture is going to be getting pushed in from that low that is going to be off the West Coast. There also is going to be some showers out ahead of it in parts of the Great Basin, but also there's going to be some rain in the southern plains as a little piece of this moisture will go across portions of the south. We'll show you that here in a moment. Now, the confidence is continuing to grow in a trend to winter weather this Christmas weekend. Many areas west and near the Continental Divide will start to see these changes really move in Saturday, then Sunday into Monday along and east of the Divide and for the Front Range areas. So we're confident that this switch is going to happen, the switch to colder winter weather. So that is looking likely from what we're seeing right now. However, the confidence in the placement of where the heavier snow is going to fall and where the biggest impacts will be, especially to travel, that is just something we're not very confident of yet, and it is all based on the fact of the placement of the low. Basically, we're going to have two mergers going on here. A merger of the polar jet stream coming in from the north and this southern jet stream that you tend to get in an El Nino. And they want to come together over the central Rockies over the weekend. But exactly how it all comes together is going to dictate where the placement of the low pressure system is going to be. And that placement is critical in terms of who gets the upslope and where the better moisture is going to be aligned. And right now, while we're getting better model agreement, we're just not there yet. We cannot fine-tune this forecast here probably for another couple of days. However, travelers are likely going to be impacted with winter weather conditions, falling temperatures, and snow chances going up starting Saturday, in some areas, spreading into most areas Sunday and into early Monday. So you're just going to have to stay tuned. If I show you a snowfall map right now, it could change tomorrow. So we're going to not show you that yet. As we get closer, we will. The satellite imagery this morning shows a very strong, energetic, moist jet stream streaking across the North Pacific. Here we have, you can see the counterclockwise spin. You see that rotation right here? That's the low sitting off the West Coast. Notice, look back here towards Hawaii. See all this moisture coming southwest of Hawaii and coming all the way. Look at this. Look at that travel it's going all the way into central and southern California. So this low is picking up that moisture. This is classic El Nino, where you start to see these moisture feeds like this beginning to show up. So that's why this is a complicated pattern, because we have this southerly jet flow, this new jet stream forming due to mostly El Nino, is driving upper level winds and heavier moisture content into the western and southwestern United States, while we've got this other jet stream up here that is coming in like this. And these are the two things that are going to come together. So you can see the low off the California and Oregon coast there this morning, high pressure over the central areas of the U.S. Here's that real stormy weather that's been battering the northeast and east coast areas over the last couple of days. This is by Friday morning. So the low takes a deep dive south with this other low trailing in behind it. So think of this right here as the southerly jet, then the northerly polar jet right here. And there's going to be a convergence of these two features. This introduces the cold air, the cold moist air from the Pacific. This is the warmer moist Pacific air that's getting drawn all the way, as you just saw in the satellite imagery, all the way back to west of Hawaii. So two different air masses are converging. So this is by Friday morning. So today by Friday. So you can see the lows are hanging along the coast. That's what's going to drive that moisture into the west coast. And there it is. Look at the rains in California. Significant rains all the way from the Baja all the way up into southwest Oregon. That moist Pacific flow hits the terrain, hits the coastal mountains, and just squeezes out a lot of rain. So needed rain for California. That's great to see. Also, you notice this right here. This is basically some of that same moisture getting drawn further eastward, and enough instability for areas of rain down here across portions of Oklahoma and Texas and southern Kansas. But you can see this big white area here where there's not going to be anything going on through the day on Friday. Here are the showers beginning to spread into Nevada and Utah, into Boise. Arizona going to start getting into some shower activity as well here by the end of the week. Look at the warmth. These are the temperatures over the next 5 days relative to the 30-year average. So you can see along and east of the divide, we're getting a little bit of a Chinook effect. But relative to average, you can see how warm it is because the air from Canada through Friday is cut off. So it's all Pacific air coming on in. That's why it's going to be so mild. Then here we go. Those two jet streams come together, and this is where the modeling has a difficult time. The low that's down here merges with the low up here, and we get what was best described as a double-barreled low-pressure system. And what is going to be a tricky proposition here in terms of focusing in on where the heavier moisture is going to fall is that you want one consolidated low. When they're fragmented like this, when you have two low centers, you get areas of upslope in one spot, areas of downslope in another, and it's really hard to figure out where this disorganization will come together. You don't want it organized like this if you want a large storm to really mature and become a big storm. But the cold, moist air that's coming out of Canada and the Pacific and the warmer, moist air that's coming up from here is a volatile mix. And you have the recipe for the storm to really come together quickly. But right now, the models by the way, this is Christmas Eve morning. They're all similar. So here's the European model, here's the Canadian model, here's the GFS model, the American model. So now the American model and the Canadian model are trying to consolidate the system into a stronger low more towards western Colorado and Utah, while the European wants to keep a double-barreled low. Notice, though, they're all basically saying the similar story, but boy, the placement of this compared to this will make a big difference on who gets the heavier snow or not. So we're not there yet, because we could see heavy snow as far north as Montana and the western Dakotas, or we may not see those areas get snow at all, depending on the placement of this low. So stay tuned. The confidence is high that this colder wintry pattern is going to settle in. Too early for details. We'll try to get more details for you in the days ahead as we get closer to the event. Have yourself a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.